Welcome to this edition of the Interview on Africa 24. As Cameroon approaches a defining moment in its democratic journey, new voices are rising with bold visions for change. Amongst them, Hiram Samuel Iyodi, supported by the Front for Democracy and Change, is a presidential hopeful whose candidacy challenges the status quo and sparks critical conversation. Today, he joins us in this exclusive interview to share his vision, priorities, and set him apart for his pivotal race. Mr. Samuel Iyodi, welcome on Africa 24.
Thank you, Madam Kamsukom. Thank you for having me.
You have presented the program organized around 6 major themes, covering 12 key areas that you say will have an impact with 15 strategic priorities to make Cameroon prosperous, of course. What is this political philosophy behind your candidacy in this program?
The political philosophy we are advocating for is one based on African society values. We acknowledge the fact that the history of our peoples, this didn't start in 1960 with the independence. It didn't even start in 1885 with the Conference of Berlin. We have strong people on the territory who have been lived there for many centuries. During all this time, they developed way of living, model of governance, way of producing and sharing and redistributing wealth. And based on that, we drafted a political program that brings us together, that look like us, and that can help us take full part of the resources we have to ameliorate, I will state, the condition of our people.
In your program, effectively, you indicate that the state is absorbed by administrative functions to the detriment of vital sectors such as health, education, energy, and infrastructure. You indicate also that you will reduce the number of ministries from probably 60 to 20 and reduce or eliminate agencies and institutions. Don't you think this move will distance the state and the population?
Not really. Our country, Cameroon, is facing so many crises. The government expenditures are about 60% of our budget. For a country like ours, who have to face challenges of infrastructures, challenges of peace, bring back peace in the northwest, the southwest region, even in the extreme, the far north, we need to reduce massively our public infrastructures in order to reallocate those resources to build strong infrastructures on the ground. So our need or our objective, our goal is to bring our expenditure from 60% to 20% and to raise the money we allocate on investments from 19% to 58%.
You have highlighted a very critical point at this moment in Cameroon, the English-speaking crisis that is happening in the northwest and in the southwest region. How do you intend to handle these crises?
First, I want to say that this crisis is the result of a government which chose not to talk with its populations. Regarding all the frustrations, we choose the path of violence. So the only way to find a way out of this crisis is to bring back people at the same table. Our solution is that we will start an immediate transparent dialogue as soon as I am elected as the head of the state to find quickly common grounds with those of our brothers and sisters who choose the path of violence so that they can drop their arms within the first 100 days and we can start demilitarizing those regions and bring back industries that will help our people to go back and live in their original regions.
And who do you think should be the major actors of this dialogue?
The representative of the population. People coming from all walks of life. Civil society, people coming from the religious life, from the communities, journalists, everyone who has something to say about how our country has been handled so far and what are the main reforms we should take to make all Cameroonians feel at home in their country.
Your program refers to a breakaway budget with a reduction in government spending, the rationalization of ministries, and the creation of 5 macro-regions. How do you intend to redirect resources to key sectors while ensuring concrete results?
We are advocating for a federalism with 3 levels of decision-making. The first one is the commune, the council, where the mayor will be responsible for all the politics of local development. The second level are the regions, who will be in charge of developing infrastructures. And the third level will be the state, who will mainly be in charge of diplomacy, defense, and security. In this type of organizations, you don't need 63 members in the government, you need only 20, and our program would highlight the detail of the 20 ministry with the specific mission that will be given to each of them. We think that the main priority is to invest in infrastructure related to education, to health, to roads, transportation, and to energy. And by reducing the government expenditure, we can have all the resources to reallocate them to what is really a priority to our people, not spending 2,000 billion CFA franc on building stadium that doesn't have any impact on our daily lives.
Samuel, before we actually tailor towards the reforms of the proposed projects that you have, are you in for effective decentralization or maybe federalism?
I am in for federalism. I think that with all the diversity we have in Cameroon, with all the complex challenges we are facing on the ground, the only way to make sure that the solutions that are drafted are really meaning to resolve the problem facing on the field is to move towards federalism.
And do you think with your structure of tailoring down the administration to 20 ministers, do you think it will be effective with federalism?
Yeah, it will be effective because each region will have a president, a government, and a local assembly. So they will have all the institutions needed to make sure that the local territories are governed with efficiency.
Your project also stipulates that pregnant women and probably the vulnerable group, children as well, will actually be fully taken care of due to universal health coverage. How exactly do you intend to go about it? What is your budget? How do you intend to cover all those costs?
Our budget is about 5,000 billion CFA francs that will be allocated during the 7 years of my presidential term. So about 700 billion every year. We can finance this, as I said, by reducing the government expenditure, also by the revenue that will be generated by our investments on social infrastructures.
Cameroon is also heavily plagued by unemployment, especially the youth like you are. What are the policies you intend to put in place to actually eradicate this phenomenon?
First, I would like to say that unemployment is the result of an educational system and an economic policy that are not geared towards bringing growth for our economy. It is the result of the heritage we had from colonialism. So first, we have to bring major reforms in the economic systems. Our main proposal is to ban the exportations of our raw materials, principally, mainly the agriculture and the mining resources, to keep them in our country in the 5 macro regions we talk about, so they can be the foundation of a strong Cameroonian industry. And on the other side, to transform the educational system to make sure that our children, a Cameroonian child aged 18 years old, coming out of the secondary school, could have all the skills needed to find a job in the same division where he attended.
How do you intend to do that concretely? Because actually in Cameroon, we noticed that the job market is very, very demanding, especially in certain sectors. And there is a global saying that goes by languages, history, geography, actually useless studies. So how do you intend to tailor more students and learners to actually encourage them to focus in those fields of study so they can fit in the Cameroonian job market?
By changing the curricula, we will focusing the curricula on the STEM, the science, technology, engineering and mathematics course. Those are the main needs you have when you want to build a productive economy. So we will transform the curricula. We have a state that will design the global curricula, but in each of our 5 regions, the specific curricula will be designed to transform the local resources and then make sure that the kids that just went to school can find job locally.
We're speaking about the young people, but what about the women? How do you intend to better place them to have a better representation in the country?
When I talk about young people, I talk about young men and young women as well. But talking about politics specifically, we intend to bring a quota that will make sure that in the local assembly and the National Assembly, we will have at least 40% of our representatives that will be women.
If you are elected at the head of this term, at the end of this term, I mean to say, you promise to complete 15 major strategic projects, including 3,000 kilometers of paved road, 1,500 kilometers of motorways and 1,000 kilometers of railways, 2,500 kilometers of navigable waters, and that's it. And a 50% reduction in imports. What is the real cost of such a program? How will you finance it?
About 9,000 billion CFA franc for the upcoming 7 years. And it's the same model to finance everything: energy, education, and infrastructures. We have two pillars. The first pillar is the reduction, the massive reduction of the government expenditures. And the second pillar is the revenue that will be generated by the investors we will be making in the infrastructure. So those are the two pillars that will help us bring more money, raise the revenues that the government is getting from the economic activities, and make sure that within the 7 years we will actually implement what we are promising to the Cameroonian people.
That's a lot of money, I must say, but how do you intend to actually have this money? Is it gotten already, or do you have sponsors?
No, it's not getting your money. When you invest into infrastructure, you make sure that you have more economic activities. That's the fact. And when you have more activities, you have more money that the government can take from those activities to invest into infrastructure.
So the amount you're stipulating is yet to be gotten in your coffers?
Yeah, it will be creating by the industrial activities that will be setting up in the 3 or 4 coming years.
One of the pillars of Cameroon's economy is agriculture. You agree with me? You want to modernize the sector, increase agricultural productivity, and process 60% of production locally. What will be the role of farmers, who represent 80% of the agricultural workforce? Because farmers, as we know, have always been manipulated, if I must say. They have always been the minority whose voices are not heard. How do you intend to actually patronize these farmers?
They have been manipulated because they were evolving in a system that was promoting the fact that we will sell outside of the country, abroad, all the resources that they are producing. We have a total different economic system. What we want is to place those farmers as the central key point of our economic model. So they will be producing products, excuse me the repetition, that will supply our economic industry locally. And we will make sure that they sell those products at a price that will allow them to live, to really live from their farming activities. And the second thing that we will bring up will be the digital transformation of our agricultural system, helping them to better manage their activities, to better follow the prices in the international and the local market, and to make sure that they can provide us product with a high.
Our justice system, who today is not very well seen on the national and international plan, it's kind of shaky. So how do you intend to actually create impactful reforms in the justice system in Cameroon?
By giving back to the justice their independence. First of all, we are going to remove the President of the Republic from the Superior Magistratic Court, to leave magistrates organized by themselves, their profession, and make sure that they can give decision according to the law, not according to the influence of the executive power.
On to sports. Sports is a pillar of Cameroonian identity, with many talented Cameroonians becoming stars or leaders of their discipline around the world. What sports policy do you intend to pursue at the various levels of schools and professionals?
For professionals, we want to encourage Cameroonian companies to invest into sports. So we have tax fiscal facilitations to encourage them to invest first in the training of young Cameroonians in all the discipline, and secondly to be kind of a support for the federation so that they become independent. Our vision of sport is not a sport that is being managed by the government, but really by the association that are our national federation.
What are sports infrastructures in Cameroon?
I think we have enough. We should just maintain them. We have enough for the next 7 years.
Really? 2 stadiums?
Yes.
Yaoundé?
Yeah. We have 2 stadiums in Yaoundé. We have 1 in Douala. We have 1 in Limbe. We have 1 in Bafoussam. We have 1 in Gawa. So we have enough infrastructure. We just have to implement a better policy to maintain those infrastructures, but the priority will be the training, because those infrastructures need athletes, and for now we have a poor training policy in sports.
Your purpose to reach 6,500 megawatts by 2032, invest in local refineries and gradually phase out the franc CFA. How do you intend to secure investment, manage the energy transition, and convince regional partners to adopt a common currency?
For the common currency, our goal is not to convince regional partner. I say that sovereignty, monetary sovereignty is firstly a matter of dignity. We have to get out of a monetary systems that was built to maintain us into domination. So we have a 10-year plan. The first step will be to denounce the monetary agreements from 1972 and 1973 that gave birth to the CFA franc. Then to start talk and discussion with our neighboring countries to make sure that we can quickly implement reforms in order to get out of this CFA franc. But aside, we will start building a gold reserve for about 3 tons every year to make sure that in the next 10 years, we will have a reserve of about 30 tons. That would be enough sufficient to support the monetary shock in case we get out of the CFA.
Mr. Samuel Iyodi, thank you for answering Africa 24's questions.
It's me thanking you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we draw curtains on this edition of Interview. Stay tuned for more information and more exclusive interviews on Africa 24 with other presidential candidates.